Causing here to my review on the Sony Xperia. This is the Z5. So just a quick rundown of the specs. This is a 5.2-inch screen, 1080p resolution. We have the 810 Qualcomm Snapdragon 810 in there with a 2 GHz by 4 and a 1.5 GHz by 4 processor. We have 3 gigs of RAM, 32 space. It does have a micro SD card, 23 megapixel camera. It has a 5 in the front, a 2900 milliamp hour battery, and it's water resistant, the IP65, 68, but they really tried to downplay that this year. And then this year it also includes the rapid charge feature, so quick charge, and then also has a fingerprint scanner, which they include. So let's just go around the device and see what you see. You can see that the NFC sensor is way up at the top, which is, almost sometimes where you might want to have it, depending on what you're using it for. There's their G-Lens camera up the top there, 23 megapixel. On this side is where we have the SIM tray, which is a little bit awkward to get into, the SIM tray and SD card spot. Just because in order to get your finger in there, you have to make sure you get your finger in there to really wedge it out. And it's a little tricky for me to try to figure that out. I don't know if it's just my fingers. I don't have much nails there. We have our headphone jack in the top, we have micro USB in the bottom, and then here's where all the action happens. This is where we have the fingerprint scanner, which is really cool to have it that small, that is that fingerprint scanner, and then we have the volume controls, and the standard, at least for standard for Sony, is their power, or their camera button, which I always find is a little bit weird and always sits in the wrong spot for me. The other thing is that the fact that I find the volume rocker being way down here just makes it so awkward. It's just different. It's one of those things you don't expect, and I find it's usually in the way whenever I'm holding it. I end up palming it or something. So anyways, let's take a look at the power button. So light little touch, and then depending on how you set it up, you can add in your fingerprints. So I use it. It's either this fingerprint this way works. I've used it where I can use it my thumb this way, and I think I use it this one as well. So it depends on how you're going to hold the phone. You might want to be able to get it to read your fingerprinter, so either sideways or top ways or whichever way, and it works very well. There is a difference of, you can't just press it and you have to hold it there for just a fraction of a second after. So very much like the iPhone 5. Yes, I believe it was the first one that had it in, so I had to press it and then you kind of have to hold it to scan, which is sort of standard, I think, nowadays for most of them. So it's not like I can just tap it and it'll work, unfortunately, like the new Nexus ones that have that. When we go inside, what's kind of nice is they've got rid of some of the features out of the Sony Xperia UI, which I wasn't a big fan of. It does look a little more Nexus-like in terms of very stock, with that way we can change the quick features. We can add in like a flashlight. We can add in cast screen. So now we can have all those features there in the quick settings, which is kind of nice. We no longer have, there was like a little sorting feature on the side of the app drawer. But one thing you will have to do as soon as you get it up, at least I had to do, is go back into sort apps and make sure it was alphabetical. Just because it often would have, like, it do take you a long time to find apps, especially seeing as here's the apps they include with it. So there's 6 apps that are third party, and there's 14 apps that are Sony proprietary. Now some of them you might say you may not need it or whatever, but some might like that live streaming to YouTube is awesome. I think that's awesome, but that's a lot of apps that they're including in there. So when you first get it and you start scrolling around trying to find, I've added a bunch of my own, obviously, but it takes a while to try to find the app. So unless you do alphabetical or you're doing something else, it can be a little cumbersome to try to find the right one. Other than that, I really didn't mind it. Normally, one of the first things I say on Sony is replace the launcher with Nova, but it's been pretty good. I gotta admit, I really like that. It's been no issues with me. It's been pretty stock looking anyways, so that's pretty cool. What else do we want to talk about here? So the camera is the other big thing people want to hear about. The camera is a 23 megapixels, so when you go into your settings, your resolution, 23 megapixels for 4x3, or 20 if you go by 16:9. And then there's this huge jump all the way down to 8 megapixels at 4x3, or 8 for 16:9. It seems like there's no 16 or 12 or anywhere in between. You just go from 23 to 8. Because let's say you're trying to watch, you don't want to be, because Google has a 16 megapixel limit on their thing. So, but there's either 23 or 8. So, anyway, so that was kind of neat. Typical Sony has all their apps that you can use for the different videos and different sort of plugins. And again, you can always download more. So if you want to add more neat little features for your camera. I haven't noticed any issues this year with it overheating. I've always had issues with Sony cameras with them overheating with taking a bunch of pictures. I haven't really played too much with it to really go through it. I did notice when I took it outside the other day to take some photos. Maybe I'll show some photos. Take some photos outside in the snow. It gave me a warning saying it may shut down if it gets too warm in this cold environment. So there's some pictures of my son outside. Like, I did quite well for the camera, I gotta admit. This was a nice looking little camera. So it did okay. I mean, was it any better than the other cameras out there I've seen? I don't think it really stood out to me. At least to me, I didn't notice much of a difference. Other features we have on here are you can adjust the color, or the brightness. So no real manual features, which I was kind of hoping there might be some manual features on it. Oh, there's me. But yeah, so that's the camera feature. Just as you would expect, it works pretty well. Yeah. Anyways, it's handled quite well. The rapid charge is really nice to be able to boost it up really quickly. So I'll have a full review on the website. If there's anything else you'd want to hear about it, just let me know. Okay, thanks so much, everybody.